Alright, I'm gonna start a video. Hey everyone, I'm Goodheart, and today I wanted to walk you through how I produced and built my song Make Me Feel. This is by no means a tutorial. I just wanted to give you a little insider back scoop on kind of what I did and the kinds of instruments that I used. So let's get into it. So this is the session. I can make it a little smaller, so that's the whole thing. There's a lot of different tracks. I actually built and tore down the song like 3 different times before I was satisfied with it. Kind of envisioned like, ooh, falling in love in the summertime kind of vibe. This is the 3rd song that I produced. So that came with some challenges as I'm still very much an amateur at this stuff, but I'll explain about those kinds of challenges as we go into it. So let's start with the intro part of the song. So I wrote this song, as I write all my songs, really just on guitar and vocals. Usually when I write a song, it doesn't take me that long. It's the producing that takes a long time. This one took a couple months. So I started with this guitar riff. I'm just gonna grab my guitar. So real quickly, I'm just gonna play you what the original guitar line was. It sounded like this. And then when I was trying to play it, I thought it sounded too convoluted, so I simplified it down to this. Just the broken chords, and then we put that in MIDI. So I originally started with that guitar line and I put it into Logic, started building out the song, but because this was the 3rd song I produced, I didn't know that you had to quantize your guitars. So no matter how perfectly I tried to play it, it always sounded slightly off, and that was because the timing wasn't lining up and I didn't know that you could quantize it. So I got frustrated, and I spoke to Ryan, who's my bassist and keyboardist.
Ryan, say hi.
Hi.
And he said, well, let's just convert that riff and put it in kind of a synth so that we can quantize it because it's a MIDI. So that riff eventually got translated into this, and this was the start of the song. That is how it started. So he put that together and then I built on that. So what I like to do when I produce is add multiple different sounds of the same line. Here I added the same line but as a music box roll to give it that light blimp kind of sound, like doot doot doot, which is this. That's paired with the plastic nylon guitar. And then we added some grand piano on top of that, so that sounds like this. Add in that blimp, add in that nylon guitar, and that was the start of the song. So after that, Ryan said, okay, well, let's build on the synths. So he put this together, and it's just a really simple do-do, do-do kind of thing. I built it out into a ghost piano chord. So together, all of those synths sound like this, and this is how the song starts. So that's the base of the song, is those synths there. Because this is that summertime kind of love song, I wanted to add some sound effects. I was like, is this cheesy? But then I was like, whatever. So I have some sea waves with birds, and then the sea waves just come in, and that's just on top. Just to give like that kind of environmental build to the song. So that's all put together. Now these are all very light sounds, and there's no bass or drums that come in, so we have to introduce those heavier aspects. So what I did for that was I have this, I think it's just a kick, but I like really manipulated it and added a whole bunch of stuff. I made it fat, kind of just widening that sound. I added some delay and some reverb so that it sounds like a heartbeat. So it goes, and that comes in to introduce the bass and the drums. And then on top of that all, I just added this kind of shaker, and that's just to give a little bit of texture. So with all of these sounds, we have, of course, the guitar riff. And I had Mitch Holmes, who's my guitarist, and this is the riff. So when you put all of that together, these birds are in there. You ready? That. Ready? So that's how that goes in. Now, a lot of these, except for, you know, those sound effects and that guitar riff, is all MIDI. I don't like it when things are too MIDI. So to add to that, I created this backing vocal. These are all individual takes. These aren't duplicates to give a chorus-like feel. I pan them one to the left, one to the right, and then keep the same in the middle. And this kind of just adds a little bit more of that human touch to it. That is basically what makes up the introduction of the song. And this is all to build to the introduction of the bass and drums coming in, and with that, we'll get into the verse. So in the intro, we introduce all of these things, and now the verse comes in, and this is when the bass and drums kick in. So for the drums, these were recorded in studio. Everything that you hear here was recorded in my apartment here, either by myself or with my band, which is Ryan, Mitch, and Connor. And Connor is the one who did the drums here. So this is what the drums sound like. So that was the drums there. This is the bass. With all my basses, I love to do both MIDI and real basses and blend them. So this is the original line that I recorded with Ryan. Very simple. But to build it out, I added a sub bass. Really just that low kind of sound. And then I mixed that with just a regular MIDI Liverpool bass. I don't think I did very much to this. I just added a little bit of Space Designer on it, which I add like everything. So that's that with the real bass. See, now it gives it that like full bass sound. So I really like to do that. So that bass comes in with those drums, and it sounds like this together. And so now we got that groove that kind of pushes the song forward. So that's the only difference between the intro and the verse. All of those nylon synths that I originally wrote on guitar, they're all in here. The backing vocals are added. They come in on the second half. And the main vocals come in on the first verse. So I'm just going to play you a little bit of it all together now. So you hear that bass and those drums come in. And before I forget, we also have the guitar, the rhythm guitar. This is the line that I play when we play live. Together, they just have that full, nice, kind of swaying guitar sound. Plays through with that bass. All right. Drums. This is everything. So we still have those textures in here. We still have those synths. The only difference is we've introduced more backing vocals now, which sound like this.
Fine on my own.
Really.
Now whenever you're not here, I feel alone.
And I fade them all in and out to keep them clean.
You feel the same. You never treated me like I was just a game.
Those are all the harmonies. So, that's pretty much it for the verse. Everything's the same. The only difference is for the second half of the verse, I add in this synth ambient lead to just kind of build it up. And I think the guitar part changes too. So it's like that do 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 do. And that's kind of to give that anticipatory thing because we now know the song is building up going into the chorus. So after that, we also added another. This is the guitar lead. This is the line I wrote, and that's what this sounds like. Again, nothing here is quantized, so it's played pretty well, if I do say so myself, for someone who didn't know how to quantize guitars before. That's that line. Add in the bass. Add in those strums. That ambient synth. Those synth chords. That's pretty much it for the verse. This is where we introduce the chorus. So with the chorus, we basically strip all of that out. We strip out all of the synths. We have one synth, this one, which I double with a ghost piano just to give that underlying tone. So that's that underlying tone. This is the main tone. These are chords that Ryan put together. They're really just the bass chords of the song. You can see all of those textures, all of that original little music box synth, we've stripped all of that out. So it's really just that. And then I added all of this stuff in. So I wanted to make this sound really cinematic and kind of like waves with the swells. So what I did was I added in these brass swells. So this is what gives it that cinematic. Yeah. Really cool. And I pair that with some pad design. These are calming waves. That's what it's called. It's left and right, and it just gives that lower ambience that the song needs. Really subtle, but then mixed with that swell. Right? So cinematic. So it kind of sounds like grand. But this is a fun light song, so we can't keep it like that. Basically, I was like, okay, this sounds really professional and grand. Let's cheapen it down. So I have two, one just pan left, one pan right. And it sounds like some like cheap MIDI thing. But together, they propel the song forward and they have that playfulness that I wanted to have. So that paired with those original nylon synths that come in, this is essentially what makes the chorus. So pretty and fun. What changes with the guitar? They're all just downward strums. Again, just keeping that rhythm going. The bass line. There's those guitars. And that is really just to keep that energy up. Again, we have the leading guitars, that picking pattern that I created. So that with all of the guitars and the bass. Now it sounds like, okay, something's happening. All right, that's pretty funky. So then let's add in the synths and the nylon guitars, and this is all the music that happens in the chorus. You really don't have to have that grand of a chorus to make a statement. And yeah, I'll just play it out. So one of my favorite parts about this chorus is the backing vocals. Again, lots of MIDI here. Other than the guitar and bass, there's a lot of MIDI stuff happening, so we got to balance it out. Let's give it some real tones. So what I did here was I have 3 different takes of and then some kind of repeating of the main vocal line where it goes underneath, whatever. I'll play them for you. And all of these are individual takes because, again, we got to get that coarse feel. Kind of weird on its own, but it works. It's really pretty with everything. Then we have the main vocal line.
Live underneath your skin, just breathe me
A lot of
in.
reverb on this for some reason.
Take me to the place where it begins.
So let's play it with everything in it.
Down
There you go.
the deepest parts of you.
And that is how I made the Make Me Feel chorus.
Underneath your skin, just breathe me in.
Very pretty. And yeah, that's basically the same for the second chorus.
It's all the way you make
Everything
me feel.
pairs down here. Just gets to those guitar and drums. And then the second verse comes in. And the second verse is pretty much the exact same. We have the same sound effects, same textures. The only difference is I pare down on the synths and then reintroduce them slowly to give that build. There's that ambient lead. And between the chorus and the verse, we have this little guitar riff that plays. So the verse is the same. The second chorus is pretty much the same as the first chorus. And then we get into the bridge. So with the bridge, we strip everything out and we build it back up. So we have a lot of piano in the bridge. So this is the chords. So we build grand piano. I just duplicate it to give a bigger sound. We have that nylon synth come in to keep those similar tones the same. That ghost piano is here. So that's that. And on top of this, I add like what I like to call a flourish. And that is just like a little sprinkle of something on top to give the song a little bit more texture, make it more interesting. And all that is here is just do, 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 do. So I took grand piano and there's some delay on there, some chroma reverb, and then I use a stereo spread just to make it a little bit different. Really, all this stuff I think comes down to is having taste and knowing what things sound good versus not, and then working to get your skill level up there like I've been doing. So that's all of the piano in the bridge. The second part of the bridge that comes in is the guitar line. So what this is, I essentially just ask Mitch to solo a lot and I record every single take. And then from those solos, I kind of spliced together different parts to kind of give it a narrative. And I like doing that because instead of just playing like doo-loo-loo, doo-loo-loo, where there's no direction, I find that when I'm able to cut between the tracks and manipulate it, it gives it that narrative. It gives it that feeling of, you know, if it goes up and then goes down, it needs to go somewhere. It can't just be like freestyle, even though that's essentially what it is. So that's 1, 2, 3, technically different takes. So that's in there with that piano. After that, we have the rhythm line. Again, I think it's just the downward strokes. Yeah, of the courses, of the chords of the bridge. The bass line gets a little funky. That was Ryan's doing. Gives it a little flair. Here's those guitar and bass. Setting that bass, the bass of the song, the bridge. Then we add in the piano. Here's that riff.
Just what it's like to be without you. With you, I'm standing
there. The only other thing we add, because again, lots of MIDI here. I don't like it when things are too MIDI. Balance it out with some real stuff. Let's go into the vocals. So the vocals for this part is just I think it's just the harmony, because there's a lot happening in the main vocal line of the song. So
what it's like to be without
again, 2 different takes,
but you.
and you can hear what that sounds like with the main vocal line in there.
All about just what it's like to be without but you.
Right? And now let's add everything in.
Just what it's like to be without but you. You are standing on the grounds of something new. I feel it do.
At the end here, everything pairs down. Again, all that's here is that you hear that original synth. Do, do, do. Right? So that's really it, and the vocal, and then everything builds back up, and we get into the chorus. And this chorus is pretty much the same as everything, except I add some backing vocals, and the main vocal line changes, and that is what makes it sound different and a level up of the previous 2 courses that we had.
Underneath your skin, just
So there's some backing vocals here. Main melody line changes, and this is where it's different, is that I have 3 different takes of this background.
All the way.
Kind of sounds a little funny on its own, but together
Me feel
it has that energy. Again, those heartbeats coming back. Ooh, building up heartbeats. Our rhythm is going. And that is the end of the song. Pairs down. Those just guitar lines here. And that's it. That's the end of the song. And that is how I built my song, Make Me Feel. So thanks for tuning in. This has been an exploration of how I built my song and kind of produced my song, Make Me Feel. I love doing these videos. I think it's so interesting when artists talk about their process, where their heads were at, and kind of what the work was that went behind the things that we love and admire so much. So if you feel the same way, leave a comment. Let me know if you want to see more of these. And if you're a seasoned producer or something and you are watching this and you want to give me a hot tip, go for it, because I honestly need all the help I can get when it comes to recording and producing all the songs that I've written that I want to get to. So press the like button, subscribe, and if you haven't had a chance to listen to this song, I'll have the music video linked in the description so you can listen to it with that kind of insider information now that you have. And with that, I will leave it there. I hope you have a good day.